Welcome to the Launch Button Podcast, where we unlock the secrets of successful entrepreneurs and real estate investors who found the courage to hit the launch button and take control of their destiny. Join me, Hugh Zaretsky, best-selling author, seasoned real estate investor, and serial entrepreneur, as we dive deep into inspiring stories and invaluable lessons that will empower you to break free from the ordinary and pursue your true passions. Are you feeling trapped in a job that drains your passion and leaves you yearning for more? Are you ready to accelerate your business and or real estate investing to take it to the next level? It's time to ignite your dreams and embrace the limitless possibilities that life has to offer. Get ready to launch into the life you've always desired by pressing the launch button. All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Launch Button Podcast. We've got two amazing guests here today. They scaled Kilimanjaro. They've lived all over the world. They travel. They're expedition experts. They're survival experts. They teach people from high levels to low levels, from Navy SEALs to corporate executives to expeditions on mountaintops. You want to survive. You want to thrive. You got to start hanging out with Chris and Carlie. They're here today with us. Two amazing people that I've gotten a chance to know over the last year. And every time we peel back a layer, we learn more and more about that. And it's always that intrigue that brings people together. And it's those core values that keep people together. And no matter whether they're on a mountaintop, they're on a stage, they're always there to help and support people. And that's what's really amazing about these two. So welcome, Chris and Carlie. Tell everybody a little bit about yourselves, because you guys have very unique backgrounds.
Yeah. Thank you. Good.
Well, I guess I'll start. I am Italian, grew up in East Africa, in Tanzania, which is where Kilimanjaro comes in. And I guess I spent a lot of my life traveling all over the world. I grew up outdoors, and that kind of ties into, what we do now. And it's how we connected originally, when we first met. Like, we both wanted to spend as much time outdoors, exploring, growing as possible. So that was it definitely works out that we both love doing that. But yeah, I moved to the States in 2018, originally got into real estate, and now I'm doing the complete opposite. We're traveling all over the world, running survival courses, mountain expeditions, internationally. So it's...
And when you say you grew up outdoors, hold on, Carlie. When you say you grew up outdoors hanging out with, we always joke around in the States about lions, tigers, and bears, but that was like your backyard was like lions, elephants, like right there.
Yeah, absolutely. We're always, a couple hours away from national parks, and my dad would just take us out camping in the middle of the jungle. Well, I say the jungle, middle of the savannah, in the middle of the national park, with a tiny little tent in our car. And, at night, when we got into our tent to go sleep, we could hear the hyenas or the lions just a few feet away. Or you can see their eyes glaring back at you. So it was a life of adventure, and I'm glad that we, got to incorporate all of that into our lives. And now Chris gets to experience that with me.
We don't sleep in tents on the planet. Just to be clear.
Yet.
No.
Yet.
I'm not.
It'll happen.
Some of the stories about the lions and the elephant butts leaning up against you, she has from her childhood memories. I'm like, I'm good. I don't need to experience that.
Yet.
Yeah.
And we are going to go on safari in August, so about that a little bit more later. And then Chris has a slightly different background growing up in the U.S.
Yeah, so born in Phoenix, raised in Ohio, took off from the military when I turned 21 while I was going through basic training, and then did just shy of 18 years military service. It took me all over the world as both a air marshal for the Air Force and a survival instructor. So SEER specialist, as they call it, survival, evasion, resistance, escape. But 33 countries, worked with some of the most elite of the elite, worked for SOCOM and Air Force Special Operations, 4 tours in Afghanistan, got to visit Iraq during World War II and do a lot of good things. But through all my experience, I got out of the military. I owned 2 fitness studios for a little while, and I knew I was capable of doing some more and helping serve more. So it just kind of naturally took off, start doing survival school training with people, and then also doing some escapes training, hostage avoidance, people being human trafficked, kidnapped, stuff like that. helping them combat that. And then through that network, we met and then started doing the expeditions worldwide, and that has taken off. We're in year 2, and we're already been to Africa. We're going back again in August, like we said. We're going to be climbing Mount Rainier again, Greece, Portugal. Yeah, things so far. So,
And you guys are becoming coaches as well, right? So that can help coach and transform people.
of course, now we're on the track to be coaches with the Final Percent and the Infinity Club, and that is probably our most exciting thing going on right now. But yeah.
And I have to just point out that you're one of the very first people that we met when we together in Seattle, and you immediately were like, I don't know if you guys are the type of people to, mingle right away, but if you want to come have breakfast with us, you just grabbed us and you're like, come sit with us. And I was like, perfect. It was so welcoming. So thank you for that. Just wanted to point that out.
No problem. And then it's funny, all the synergies that happened from there, right? Like, and see, Chris, I still got it right here. Chris had us make these bracelets last week at a men's retreat, right? To be able to help us get out of certain situations, to leverage that strength, to be able to do that, and has the handcuff key inside of it. So, they've got these patches that you can bring with you that get through TSA, all sorts of things that I would never have thought of. We're talking about going to Africa, but just before I met you guys, I went to South Africa, and every time I went to everywhere I was going afterwards, I went to a worse and worse town, told by the locals, like, oh, you're going there, it's scary. Oh, you're going there. And I'm just like, no big deal. And I'm like, maybe I should have had Chris with me or Carlie. Like, if only I'd known them back then, right? With that. And so it's part of the fun. And they're two of the most humble people you'll get a chance to meet. They've got such life experiences. And like I said, it takes a little while to peel back the layers like it does with all of us, but we start to hear more and more stories. So, Carlie, what's your favorite outdoor story, adventure story so far?
One that we've done together.
Whatever you want it to be.
Oh man. Well, since we are going back to Tanzania in August and we're bringing you along, maybe this one will make the most sense. So I think I was around 14, 15 years old, and my physical education class decided to go to Kenya to climb Mount Longonot. And apparently this is something they were kind of dabbling with. They weren't sure how this was going to play out, but one of the challenges was to climb Mount Longonot, and then instead of coming back down the same way, we had to climb down the opposite way and make it back to camp. So we had to walk, I don't know how many, like 70 kilometers in 3 days. I don't know. It's ridiculous. Yeah.
It's like 650 miles for everybody. Just small little around the corner.
So they gave a map and a compass and a little like burner phone. And we left camp, or we started at like 5:30 a.m. and it was just 4 of us students. And they said, just make it back to camp using this map and this compass, which we taught you how to use. It took us, I think, 14 hours to get back. And on the way, they're like, don't worry, there are no hyenas, there are no lions. We haven't seen them in years. Not going to be an issue. The very first animal we see were 2 hyenas the size of horses. So we keep walking because they just disappear, and we're like, oh God, they've gone to call the rest of the crew. So we better get moving. And then after that, we run into a lion under a tree. It was midday, so it was hot. So it just kind of looked at us, tail flicking, and it was just way too hot for it to get up. And then after that, we're done. So we call the guide, we call our teacher. They didn't believe us. I was like, I'm pretty sure we're not high. We can see the lion right in front of us. So we're begging for them to come get us. And we decided to meet up behind one of the hills that was just up ahead. After we all, with the teacher, the guides, we then walked through a jungle, and we're surrounded by buffaloes, which were even more dangerous than the previous 2 animals, more dangerous than the lion and the hyena. So they're like, start making noise, guys, just start clapping your hands. And I'm like, why are we doing this? Later on, they told us that, we're just surrounded by buffaloes, and we finally made it back to camp alive. And needless to say, they never brought students back to that part of the world to do that challenge or that adventure after that. But I want to say that's still my favorite to date, because it's pretty unique that you encounter 3 of the most dangerous animals in one day. But yeah,
On
won't
foot, on probably did not have any gear with you to defend yourselves, or
we that we didn't have anything to defend ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, just these bad boys.
It just happens every other day in the Bronx here. It's just the same thing,
So now, anytime we go out into, I'm still getting used to bears. I have yet to see one, and I'm hoping we don't see one up close anytime soon. But we went backcountry for what, 3 days, Glacier National Park, and I was just clapping the entire way. And my hands were purple because I'm like, I just need all the bears to know that I'm here. And I was not ashamed to admit that I did that the entire way.
Let me be clear. There was no way there would have been a bear within 2 miles of us.
At least.
Between her and my son. Hey bear, nonstop.
Not
All right, Chris, your turn. What's your outdoor experience that you've had?
Man, as you can imagine, over the years, there's been many. I would say probably the most memorable was I'd say summiting Mount Rainier. The first time I ever did it.
And how high is that, just for people out there? How high?
14,410 feet. It's the third tallest peak in the lower 48 states, but is the most difficult because it's the most glaciated. So it's technical climb. You wear a harness, you're roped in, you have crampons, an ice axe, helmet, and you're tied off to a team of 4 or 5 people. And it takes a good 2-3 days to summit safely. But you're crossing over ice canyons, you're hitting some slopes that are easily 60 to 70 degree grades while on sheets of ice. But every stop to catch your breath is in just an unworldly view. It's just to have that perspective there's really nowhere else I've ever been in the world, not even on Kilimanjaro. And Kilimanjaro is amazing itself, especially when you're above the clouds there. And it, you to the top at 19,000 feet in Kilimanjaro, 19,341 feet. It's over 5,000 feet taller than Mount Rainier. But when you're standing on top of Mount Rainier and you look out and you see the Pacific Ocean, and then you see the Olympics and you can see Mount Hood and you can see Mount Adams, and you see the extreme curvature of the earth over everything, that's one of the most surreal feelings, to think that I'm standing this high, but I'm actually on top of it. This is just crazy.
Can't confirm.
Yeah, and
It's breathtaking.
I would love to stay up there forever, but that view only lasted 5 minutes because we had 70-mile-an-hour sustained winds, and then we had to get back down before it got dark. And when you're walking off of Mount Rainier, it looks like you're walking off the edge of the earth, because all you see is the horizon line, and then you just see the next thing is the horizon mountain, and it's so steep and it's just white, so you can't see a trail. There's no contrast. You literally can lose sight of where you're going very quickly. So yeah, that was probably by far the most memorable, most impactful.
All right, awesome. So you can confirm the earth is not flat, as what you're saying. Definitely is.
Correct.
You can see it. Yes, it is right.
As far as we know.
Yeah.
It is not flat.
It appears that way, yes.
Awesome. Now, coming through the different things that you guys are doing, and then you guys said you met at Operation Black Site, right? You guys do some hostage training, how to escape the different situations and stuff. And by the way, if you guys want to go, for all the listeners out there, you want to go to Mount Rainier, you want to go to Mount Kilimanjaro, definitely reach out to them. Not only do they take you on the trip, but they'll supply you with all the gear. I picked this up, listen to Chris, to somebody else. So stop me if I'm wrong, but I will supply you with the gear, all of the top things. So you don't necessarily have to have it, but you're also going to buy it and you're going to pay for it, but they're going to get you the top stuff and not the super expensive stuff, the good stuff that they've used and what they replicate. So you're in great hands when you do go on those trips, and we know people that have survived those trips, and we'll be there. So, when we walking through the jungle, just like Carlie did on her expedition, we will have a little bit more protection with us because we'll have some ammunition with us. So that, but a quick tip for everybody out there, and why should somebody learn the survival skills? Why should somebody, like, even if they're not going into the wilderness? I know you guys do this with Operation Black Site. you know, what are some of the crazy stats out there that people don't know about traveling into different countries and being targeted and all the different things? I know you guys have some great experience in that as well. Is there a key tip for people?
But yeah, I mean, we're a quick broad stroke. Traveling abroad, uneducated and unaware makes you're highly of your theft, profiling, human trafficking, kidnap for regrettably it's rampant. It's not just outside the United States, but inside the United States too. And if you're of anybody who is of influence or affluence and you put yourself out there on social media, you have the thousands of followers, not just millions, thousands of followers, you're an easy target. And it's regrettable to say that, but people want what you have. And some people, the easiest way for them to get it, or at least in their mind, is to take advantage of you, take it from you. So in that aspect, we do what we do to help people be a little more educated, have a little more confidence, and understand how to see the signs, or to, travel a little more cautiously. Make sure you have somebody in the backside that knows what your travel plans are, and you're going to check in with them periodically throughout your trip. Make sure, using Apple tags or tile cards or trackers to your advantage, not just as concern that somebody's using them to track you. Share your location. It's super easy anymore on our phones. Share your location with key people and keep it updated. Crazy enough, even when we go on our expeditions, our locations update because it's satellite. So we may not even have phone service, but it'll ping a satellite and it'll still update. So my kids see it where we're at all the time. And they know that, well, Dad has said he's exactly where he said he was going to be. But at a better part, if you're out adventuring or expedition or anything worldwide, rescue personnel can find you a lot easier. And if anything, they can at least go to the last known location and work from there. That's what we did a lot in the military for rescue, because it wasn't just for military, it was for all the government agencies, as well as Doctors Without Borders, USA. So,
and he mentioned being an easy target. That goes for, even going to the grocery store, or, if you're posting on social media that you're going on vacation, or even kids that are going to social. If you're an easy target, you're going to be targeted, right? So you want to make it as difficult as possible for whoever's after you, whether it's, they just see an opportunity and they take it. Like even in a Target parking lot, the amount of stories that we hear from women that are, there's a weird van or weird person in the parking lot that are targeting them or waiting for them to come outside. It's happening all over the country. So make it for people to target you, to kidnap you, to rob you, whatever it is. And that's kind of what we go over at Operation Black Site. And I mean, just everything we do in general, it's putting people through challenges, through adversity, so that you, one, train under stress. So when it does happen to you, you kind of know what that oh shit moment feels like. And being able to flip the switch from oh shit to okay, now I need to turn that fear into fuel, and also shifting your baseline. So the harder or the more challenges you put yourself through, the more your baseline increases, right? And same goes with adversity. The part of your brain that grows, like David Goggins, right? He puts himself through a lot of hard things. You then increase your willpower and your resilience. So no matter what you're doing, whether it's just going to the grocery store or traveling abroad, you know what it feels like to be in tough situations and to then flip the switch from fear to fuel.
Yeah, I would say too, like a large part of what we do is teaching people how to use the right type of stress. I mean, stress is stress when you get down to brass tacks, but we want people to disconnect from the stress of their daily lives, their phones, their emails, their work, and their bill, all these things, and get outside to reconnect with themselves through nature. And then also when we teach like the escapes training or the mindset training that goes along with that, it's a matter of you need to concentrate on controlling what you can control. And stress is going to come at an extremely high level in those scenarios that you have to just learn to block it out and control what you can control. When somebody's physically harming you, they're yelling at you, they're trying to torture you, all this stuff. How do I take back control and manage that level of stress? Or they've got me bound in a dark room. I don't know if they're coming back. I don't know what their intentions are with me. How do I take back control? Well, let's problem solve. What am I facing? Well, how do I get out of restraints? If I'm going to change the circumstances, I got to figure out how to get out of restraints. Calm, collectively looking at it, analyzing, and taking action. Same with outside, climbing a mountain. All it is one step in front of the other. Take a deep breath, one step in front of the other, and don't let anything else creep inside your mind outside of thinking about like yourself and like, man, why have I let this bother me? Why do I continue to carry this trauma with me, this loss, all these things that I continue to let dictate or hold me back or prevent me from being my true self? Or so, the real root of our motivation is one, of course, just to help.
Right.
But we want to help in a unique way of learn how to take control of what you can control and fight back, but do it by really getting down to what are your basic needs, what do you really need to concentrate on to, like she said, elevate that baseline or be able to work through things that, major trauma you've lost or whatever it might be in your life, and then focus on moving forward.
And it doesn't just apply there, it applies in everyday life, right? What you're saying actually applies in everyday life. And if we push ourselves to extremes, like I just had the great pleasure of being with Chris at a men's retreat, the Gamma retreat. Carlie's about ready to lead a women's retreat, the Kappa retreat, right? So pushing that levels like there allows you in your everyday life to handle more stress. So, when we push our boundaries in any area of our life, work, play, whatever it happens to be, it affects everything else and has that. We ran an event last night here in New York City, and my team was like, Hugh, you're so much calmer this time. And I was like, really? Why? I don't understand. Chris had just like beat the crap out of me for a few days, and I was on another trip, whatever. He didn't physically beat me up. Full disclosure. He didn't physically do that. He just, and I'm highly competitive, so I'm going to keep going no matter what. We're not going to stop anything. We're just going to keep going through stuff. And we keep going until we get it done. And that's the same thing we teach in life, right? The CDA's consistent daily action leads to success in your business, in your personal life, in what you're doing. And you're just hearing this, on the extreme. So it's great to always have that adventure and push yourself out there, because then daily life doesn't seem so stressful anymore. And the same thing you guys are saying about that applies to your emails. Like you're saying, focus on what you can control. Same thing in your business, same thing in your personal life. What can you control? You can't control the other person. You can't control the emails or the responses. I think that's key. And you guys are definitely doing it.
Yeah, for sure. Whether it's that and like pushing yourself to, well, they both come hand in hand, but bringing people out into nature or on these adventures or whatever, it really helps with self-awareness and introspection. Like when you can dig deep, that's like awareness is where it all starts, right? Because you don't know what to let go of. You don't know what your limiting beliefs are. You don't know what the stories are until you are taken out of your daily life. Sometimes that's what it takes. And all you have is yourself and the next step in front of you or the next challenge. So absolutely. And then you go back to your routine, and that email doesn't seem so anymore. Or, the car battery dies like it did yesterday. Maybe years ago would have been like, oh my gosh, it's the end of the world. And now I'm like, haha, okay, let's
or
fix
she
this.
locked herself out of the house.
Or I locked myself out of the house. And guess where our picking
Box.
is?
She's going like, where's the extra keys? Where I'm thinking she's talking about the lockpick set for the door. I'm like, it's in the house.
I go over to the Lennar office, and I'm like, it's funny because my husband and I kind of teach how to pick locks, and I can't do that to my own house. So anyway, I thought that was funny.
Yeah, that's awesome. And congratulations on the new house as you guys are sitting in there. It's not a fake background for everybody watching on YouTube. That is real, so congratulations on that. Now, Chris, I know you've done a lot of leadership. You've run a lot of teams and stuff like that for people in corporate and, people raising families and kids, because one of the great things with TFP is we also get to help the kids and everything like that. What is some of the best leadership advice you've ever received or that you've then implemented?
Great question. One of my last commanders and bosses, they're kind of simple. It's not like monumental, like mind moving things, but they make it's how important communication is. One is to know that hope is not a plan, and you can hope for things or you can take action and make things happen, and find the right person and get to work. Sitting back and hoping for something to happen, it's likely never going to happen, just because if you really want to go for it. The other one was,
Wait, what? Wait, you mean if I just sit here and think about like my dream house, it's not just going to appear in front of me? Is that what you're saying?
no,
Damn it.
now
Magic.
combine the two and you've got the magic recipe. But just sitting here, man, I really hope that that's not going to work. The other one was never underestimate or undervalue the valuability of a face conversation, because in today's society, we send a text, we send an email, and we just or get on social media. And the thing that he told me was, email is not a form of communication. It is a way to relay your message after you've had the original communication. It's to confirm what we've talked about. It's a way to shore up that everybody knows we're supposed to meet this time. We've already talked about it. It's same with the text. It's get on a face call with them if you have to, if you can't be there in person. And if you can't do a face call, get on there and hear their voice. Because I don't know the percentage off the top of my head, nonverbals, how important they are, or fluctuation in voice when you're trying to have a communication. Because I don't know if you've done it, but I know I have, and we talk about it all the time. You get these texts sometimes and you're like, who the hell are they talking to? Right? And you're like, wait a minute. And it's completely lost that they had zero intention to be inflammatory. But I'm damned if it's gonna,
And then I read that same text and I'm like, no, actually, it's be really nice. What are you talking about?
Right?
Or that exclamation mark, that's like a happy exclamation mark.
Or there's the one that's going around right now that we write the freaking novel that we want to respond, and then we just delete it all.
We're like, okay.
Right. So never underscore the value of actual face-to-face communication, and get up and walk across the room to go have that conversation with somebody if you work next to them.
Mhm.
Go get in the car, get in the plane, and go talk to them, or have the patience to wait until you are in person if you're going to see them in 2-3 days, to say, hey, they're worth having the conversation together, because I can get their emotion, we'll connect. Because there's another thing that's really important that I learned, and this wasn't something I learned from leadership as much as I learned after getting out of the military and losing it for a short while, and then finding my community with TFP and people that we love, like you, like Greg, like Kip, like Carlie, like just other people's community that vibrated at a higher level in their energy. And I had that with the guys that I served with in the military. The energy, we would just quickly turn it on and vibrate at a high level, and we would go to work. When you lose that, you're like, holy crap, your motivation is gone. You just don't, your desire to do things, you're just so frustrated with people. And it is regrettably, in the normal world, people don't do hard work.
They don't have the same standard you do, right? And going back to your thing, it's 93% of our communication is nonverbal, 7% is verbal. And the last thing we learned how to do as humans was talk, right? So that's one of the big things when we're on stages and stuff like that. It's all those nonverbal cues, and you being in the military and being in certain situations, seeing that. But it's huge. That's why, like, whenever I run my trainings, like, everybody has to have their cameras on, because I can offend people pretty easy. We all know that. You guys know that. I know that. We were joking about Carlie's mom and me getting along, and when we go, because we're both very fiery. But
Yeah.
you know, it's always with good intentions, but sometimes people just interpret it, and I can watch when they interpret it in a bad way. I can't do that over text and those types of things. I think that's huge. Yeah.
To add to the energy thing, I think because of it all stems from childhood. I had to be very attuned to people's energy, but normally I gravitate towards the person that has a shitty energy because I'm like, oh God, danger, danger, danger. So, I mean, that's one of the ways connected was energy, but same with Greg and same with you. I mean, the reason why we're at the final percent now is because we met Greg at Operation Black Site, and immediately we're like, we felt the energy, we felt that connection, and we told each other, like, I don't know what it is, but I know there's something big that we have to do together.
Yeah.
We exchange contact information, and we're like, I don't know where this is taking us, but I know it's taking us somewhere. So that a few months later, when he texted us, we were in Italy, and he said, hey, what are you guys doing these dates? He turned to me, he read out the text, and I said, just tell Greg yes. No matter what it is, yes. And look at where we're at now. I mean,
it's huge. And now we're going to be speaking on stage in Colorado together. You guys are coming to New York. You're speaking at our event in New York. We got Seattle. We got Arizona. I think we got Colorado again, maybe Wyoming. Who knows? Like, we're all going around the country together. Africa, we'll see, like all sorts of places together. And it just all really said for, you just say yes to the opportunities. I think we all said that with, the TFP group. Nobody really knew what it was. It's hard to explain, but somebody invites you, just say yes and show up and come to play full out. I mean, you guys did that first time. We saw you guys there at breakfast, and then like you joined our group, and like the rest is history. Now we hang out, joke around all the time, and do all sorts of fun things together. And that's just what it is. Like you said, find that community, because we don't realize how important that really is. When you have it and then you lose it, and then you're like, wait, why am I not motivated? Why am I not doing those things? And COVID did that for a lot of people. There's a lot of people still stuck in that mindset of, hey, I'm just going to stay inside and I'm not going to get out there. But it's time for everybody to get out there, enjoy the world with our survival experts here. And we're going to dive deeper in a little bit into some of the other opportunities and some of the different techniques, because Kristen do an amazing demonstration where she just like breaks out of bonds, right? And gets all tied up on stage, and in a good way, not a bad way, but like tied up on stage, and then breaks the bonds and able to do that. But for people out there that are a little nervous, either about traveling, a little nervous about what's going on in the world, being outdoors in the adventures, what's something you would say to them to get them out of their comfort zones? Because I think whether it's outdoor adventures or it's even in their business, you guys are amazing at helping people break through their comfort zones and those barriers.
I mean, I would say just say yes. Look at Kip and Laura and Megan, what they, the Africa trip that we just did, it was at least 70% of what they wanted. It's never going to be the perfect time. It's never going to look perfect. If it doesn't make you nervous, like if nothing in your life makes you a little nervous and challenges you a little bit, like, are you even living? Are you growing at that point? There's no growth in, obviously the comfort zone. You don't grow there. So just say yes, prepare as best you can. I mean, reach out to us. If you're not traveling with us, we're more than happy to point you in the right direction, give you some tips and tricks, but just say yes. That word has gotten me so far in life. I mean, it helps to have a community where the support is insane. So reach out to people in your immediate circle like us. We'll help you out.
Yeah. There's several different. You've got fear, which is everything and run, or face everything and rise. And you don't have to be an adrenaline junkie to do some of these things. It can just be the simple fact that it's something new, and you can be completely safe doing all of these, even though most people on the outside will sell it to you as, oh, that's extremely dangerous, and only 50% of the people that ever climb Mount Kilimanjaro make it to that can be true for them, but what's true for somebody else may not be true for you. And you don't know unless you try. So give yourself the opportunity to fail or succeed. I mean, you fail, okay, cool. Stand back up, dust yourself off. You learn a valuable lesson about yourself, about life, about the environment, and then decide if you want to do it again. If you're the type of person that's driven to succeed, you're going to figure out, okay, what did I do? What do I need to do differently to make it happen? That's what I love about it is like, every time I've climbed Mount Rainier, I haven't made it to the top every time. That's,
We always say that the mountain or whatever adventure you go on, it always has a message for you. There's always a lesson. It's different.
And it's that mindset you guys go into that time you're going to succeed, right? And that's one thing. You guys can feel how calm they are talking about crazy adventures, but they're super calm. It's just normal for them. It's just like, hey, walking down the street and buying something at the local store and coming back. They're like, yeah, just climb 19,000 feet today. Yeah, we'll do like 14,000. We'll sleep with some lions later. Hand out axes or whatever. I got a purple axe from Chris. I meant to bring in your patches. I don't have that. I got the purple axe for you guys on YouTube on there. I don't know if Carlie saw it.
Oh, what?
Great. Now the Kappa group's gonna be like, what is going on?
Yeah, and I'm gonna get the ladies a purple axe. That's
Hey,
amazing.
I got my big flashlight taken away, so I had that, had to replace it with something. So but yeah, like we have fun doing these things and you're in good hands, right? Like I know about, they're super modest here today. And Chris with all his military background, we're not allowed to talk about all those things. But like they're super modest on how much they prepare. And I think that's one of the biggest things that most people don't see, whether it's in your business, whether it's in your life, it's all the preparation. And I know you guys do this on your survival trips and everything. Like you spend the time being like, hey, if the worst case scenario happens, this is what it is. And this is what they were talking about earlier in the podcast, raising that level, raising your awareness is, hey, if the worst case situation happens, let's practice that right now. So if it does, you're prepared. I don't think many people do that in their business or in their life, right? Like they just assume everything's going to work out perfect. And then when it doesn't, they don't have the resources to go ahead and do that. And I think you guys in that survival expertise, you always have to look at what's the worst case scenario. Let's prepare for that and then have a plan,
A lot of legwork that goes into, whether it's the survival courses or the expeditions that we do, building connections, with relationships with people that are local, where to stay, where not to stay, what to bring, what not to, the laws, what are, the do's and don'ts. We look into, culture there, motivation, look into all of that so that you guys can really just show up at the airport. We pick you up. It's an all-inclusive. We take care of everything. And we just drop you back off at the airport and you get to fly home. So that's part of what we're good at and what we love doing.
It's one of those things that, at least for our case, and I know there's probably not a lot of people that don't look at it this way or they don't take it to this seriously, but I look at it as if you're going to go on an adventure with us, you're going to do this, or if I'm giving you advice or I'm teaching you, it's because I'm taking responsible for your outcome and I'm responsible for you, your safety, your well-being, and I'm going to return you better than I received you. And we're going to go through this whole journey. And I don't take it lightly because, if somebody's willing to put that level of trust in us and what we're doing, then they deserve to have that reciprocated. And that just comes with, like everything Carlie said. It's like, do your due diligence, think it through. It's no different than people don't, or sports teams don't end up in the playoffs unless they've played countless games, they've had countless practices, they've run every play they possibly can, and they've looked at all the defenses that they could possibly face and how to counteract, all of it. So it's like, why would I treat life any differently when I'm trying to do some of these things? It just doesn't make sense to me, but I think that a lot of people don't have common sense. So
control what you can control and then adapt to the things that maybe go sideways and, Semper Gumby.
Yeah, Semper Gumby.
But I love what you guys do because you the worst case. So anything that happens less than that is easy. Right. And that's how we all should go through life. Like I don't see a lot of people do that in business either. They're always like, oh, what's the best case scenario? Like when we buy real estate, it's like, what's the worst case scenario? Is it going to take you 3 years to foreclose on a property? Like, do you really want to buy that property, but you're not going to get paid for 3 years? But you guys do that like with everything you do. And that's why they're so calm. Like I love hanging out with them. Except when they get a little fiery and we get a little going on some fun stuff. Right. But
But Chris is always super calm. And you're like, man, like, does anything like get the heart rate up sometimes? Maybe New York City will, him being in New York City running around, but
There's a few things, but it takes a lot. And then for me, it's just one of those. I'm now at a point in my life where I'm just like, well, it's not going to do me any good to get excited about this. It's just going to make other people excited. So just let it be.
You know what's crazy is that I'm pretty calm, okay, pretty even Steven, until Chris tries to change the of my throw blanket on the couch. That was topic of this morning, and I got fiery. I'm like, I will travel to every corner of the planet and be absolutely fine. Things can go sideways, totally cool. But when the colors just don't match in the house, then I lose my ish. Oh,
She gets 51%.
I get 51.
yeah, we got to stay to our strength. Stay to our strength.
I could antagonize, but she still gets 51.
Our strengths, right? Stay in our lanes and get really good at staying in our lanes. Yep, like that's gonna do it. Yep, we're gonna do this. Yeah,
It's on camera. It's being. We need to.
I know my rule. Yes,
Oh,
dear.
man. But are you excited about August?
I'm excited about August. So tell everybody a little bit more about like your parents' place there, where we're gonna stay, those types of things. Let's paint a picture where they could, sleep with the lions and have the elephant butts, as Chris was saying earlier, like whatever it is.
Yeah, so I want to do this because she's lived there for 20 years and she underscores it because coming from the outside in, it is truly a gem in like in the country. Don't get me wrong, Tanzania is absolutely beautiful. The people are amazing. I would rate it close to second world as far as economics and the way they live and do things. But you still have people living in mud huts. You still have dirt roads that have crazy potholes and ruts and all this stuff in it. There's still stands on the side of the road with meat that's been hanging for days to so it is the wild, but
And then on the other end, though, you have skyscrapers and
You do.
cities like on the coast, right? There's a huge range of.
correct. But where her parents have their boutique hotel, you got a good mix of city life, but it is literally a gem. This is like plucked up from some all-inclusive resort place and just dropped straight in. And absolutely beautiful. Like you couldn't have picked two better people to her mom and dad to have built this up the way they have. Like the architecture, how just every little bit of detail, how clean they keep.
That's my mom.
The vegetation, like the plants that they've planted, and they've planted all of these plants and moved them in, and it literally is like walking through this botanical garden all over the whole property. There's multiple areas where you have full view of Mount Kilimanjaro on a clear day, or a full view of the spanning valley that's out of below. And then, on top of that, it has air conditioning, which is a rare commodity over there.
Yeah.
It has great communal spots for eating, swimming pools. There's a gym that's going in. There's a spa, an absolutely amazing oasis. And then on top of that, the food is unreal. Like the one feedback we get from all of our clients that we take over there now is they're shocked at how good the food is because it's better than most restaurants in the US and for where we're at. And large part of that is because they're very meticulous about the quality of food they get. They go out and pick it fresh every day from the stands.
The local market.
Yeah, the local market. So it's every little is very well calculated and monitored and strategically done. And when you meet her parents and her brother who helps run it, you understand that, you see that. But they're very, very laid back. Most, but they're all Italian. And they
Fire comes out.
get fired with each other.
Love Italians.
Right, but it's funny because they'll be having a conversation and I'm like, okay, are they heated or are they just talking? Because sometimes they talk like really fast really loud, and then I hear him crack a laugh, and I'm like, okay, we're good.
It doesn't help that we communicate in 3 different languages mixed into one.
Yeah, English, Swahili, and Italian, all mixed. So if you're trying to track what they're saying,
Don't
forget it.
Yeah. So let's just break this down for everybody. We're going to go to Tanzania, Africa, August 5th to the 15th. And it's actually like a 4-in-1 event, not 3-in-1, but like 4-in-1 event, because we're going to be doing 4 different things while we're there over 10 days. So you've heard about the amazing accommodations that we're going to be having. We've got our chefs. We've got our own private villa, 20-person. That's all we can take. Sorry, there's no fake selling on this. There's no like you're in, you're out. See you later. Never. No, just joking. We'll have one with them. But like 20 people, and I know we've already got about 10 of the slots filled, so we're down to about 10 slots for our trip to Tanzania. With this, you can bring kids, you can whatever you want, but we're going to cover 2 main things in the training. The training is going to be how to get your message out there, condense your stories, be able to tell your stories in 3 to 5 minutes, be able to get you on stage speaking, be able to control the audience and do that. And we're going to be able to learn survival skills in the wild with 2 of our survival experts right here. And then we do have 5 weeks of coaching on the back side of that, so that we'll be able to help you guys get on podcast stages and be able to implement these things when you travel. And then we're going to go on safari for 3 days.
Yes.
And if you qualify, you can go on the walk-in safari. And you guys can reach out to us on how you qualify for that. We're sure you guys can handle the adventure, certain level of fitness on that. And then we're also raising $25,000 to either put a well or a rainwater containment system in one of the villages that Chris just talked about, because we do want to stop the walk for water, right? A lot of kids don't have the ability to go to school because they got to walk 2 hours each way to get drinking water for them and for their families during the day, and they miss a lot of school. We want to help kids. We want to be able to do that all. So for all you business owners, all you entrepreneurs, all the people out there, here's the cool part for you. Because you go on this, it's going to be a learning experience, and you get to write it off on your taxes that way. To anything you would donate on top of the cost is a tax deduction for you and for your business, as it's going into a charity here. So you'll be able to get best of both worlds. And according to the US government, as long as 50% of your trip is business related, you get to write it off on your taxes. And so we've got 10 days, right, with 3 days of safari, and we will actually do trainings while we're out there as well. So in essence, you're working the whole time. You might break a sweat, you might, be stressed and push past some of your limits and your barriers, but it's all for business, and it's all to help you grow and push your comfort level. So when you come back, you can have a better business, you can have a better speaking career, and hopefully better family relationships, just now you have a new experience. I know 2 of our team members, Amanda and Joe, are bringing their kids. So, just make sure you're out there doing that. And anything you guys want to add about that trip? I mean, I'm just a little excited about it. Could you tell? I don't know.
I was gonna say that was pretty perfect. So Tarangire National Park is where we're going to be doing the safari. It's where I grew up. My childhood friends, his family owns that hotel, or the lodge, I should say. It's not really a hotel, and just absolutely incredible. The most amazing views in the entire national park.
Yeah, it's the best lodge in the national park.
Yeah, Tarangire National Park. Tarangire Safari Lodge. And the walk for water.
Yeah, and we're not doing true camping like we did as a kid, so don't get freaked out like that. We are doing glamping, right? We are doing the glamping, so we'll be okay. And we've got our own security team we travel with. So between Chris, Joe, Amanda, Carlie, we're gonna have lots of security with us.
We're in the park too. We'll have Maasai warriors that'll help us along the way too.
Yeah, they'll be accompanying us between like the main building where we have our meals to our tent, back and forth.
Yeah.
I can't promise that monkeys won't try to sneak into your bathroom, but you know what? It's an experience.
That's what it is. Gotta have some adventure. Hopefully we see some lions, some buffalo, some rhinos, the whole thing. So we'll definitely learn about the big 5 of Africa and be able to do that. It's a great experience if you haven't done it yet. Like I did one safari, and I know this one's gonna be way better because we're gonna be going out there into the bush and be able to do that during the dry season. And that's the other thing, the time of the year, it's one of the drier seasons. Those people worried about malaria and things like that, not as big a concern. And you get to see far and see all the animals. So
it is absolutely magical. Going on safaris is one of my absolute favorite things to do. You just, I don't know how else to describe it apart from magical. Like every moment of it, the sunrises, the sunsets, and everything in between is just.
It's like walking through the movie Lion King.
Oh man, it's incredible. So super excited. I'm so excited that we get to bring you guys along for that.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
Yeah.
amazing.
We're super excited. We're looking forward to it. And in a couple seconds, we're going to hop over into the private podcast so we can go a little deeper with them on some of the survival things and some of the do's and don'ts, like the top 3 do's and don'ts of what to do while you're traveling. Because I think a lot of travelers make big mistakes. So definitely go to launchbuttonpodcast.com. Go ahead and subscribe. Get in there. You'll be able to see the backside of the podcast with them. Chris and Carlie, any last words, any general thoughts for the audience? If they're thinking about coming to Africa, they're thinking about going on an adventure, what would you tell them?
The biggest one that we've, recently established for ourselves is find your freedom outside. Plain and simple. If you're looking for freedom in any aspect, get outside.
What he said. Oh, yeah, I guess by find your freedom outside, that not only, it doesn't only mean outside of nature, it just means outside of comfort zone of your daily routine, outside of the stories, outside of all the crap. Just step outside of that, and that's where you find your freedom.
Awesome. That's it. Go find your freedom. Take the road less traveled like they do and step out of that comfort zone and just continue to take one action after the other. We talked about a couple different things, prepare for the worst case scenario so that it's not as bad when you get there, and always be prepared. That's one of the things I know they always talk about, whether it's with these bracelets, whether it's the little tools they travel with to make sure that if anything happens, they're. And what's amazing also is when you're in a community like this, everybody always has your 6, right? And that was one of the biggest things. When we all started hanging out, that everybody sort of knew, like we had each other's back like that. It was like instant connections that, hey, we got your back. If somebody was doing something, we're like, watch out for that person. So when you find friends like that, when you find people like that, find ways to do more things with them and hang out with them and get that proximity. So have a great day. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see everybody soon on the next episode. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on the Launch Button Podcast, your gateway to unlocking your true potential and pursuing your passions. Don't let the journey end here. For more empowering insights, valuable resources, exclusive content, and free giveaways, visit www.thelaunchbuttonpodcast.com.